Welcome back to episode 121. So in last week's video you saw me do the oil change, and boy does that make a difference. Having the cheap oil I put in there, I don't know, a year and a half ago, whatever it was too thin when it was warm, so the engine was quite tappety. Now I've got the right stuff in there, engine is super smooth, quiet, no rattly noises or anything like that, so really pleased with that. If you've not watched that video, crank back one and you can have a look. In this week's video, what I want to do is a couple of the easier jobs. I'm going to initially just try and track down why my temperature gauge doesn't work. So on the instrument cluster, when I turn the car on, it sort of moves a little bit, but it doesn't come up. It used to, probably a year ago, and now it doesn't. So I'm going to just try and track that down. Hopefully nothing too complicated. Let's just dive in there and see. As I always say, you know, please click that like, subscribe, comment buttons. That really helps the channel grow. Subscribing is always nice. I like that. The like button actually helps YouTube throw the videos up and sort of more people see them. So do those two and leave me comments to amuse me. For now though, let's just jump in and see how I get on. Now the thermostat is, I think you can see on the camera, just sort of directly below there. What I'm going to do is take off the connectors and get my multimeter on there and just try and check the ohm reading, so we'll see what the resistance is, and hopefully I can tell whether it's actually dead here or whether I need to chase it all the way back. I'm just turning the ignition on like that. You can see the light comes on but nothing moves. Obviously the petrol gauge comes up but nothing else, certainly not the oil temperature. Right, the thermostat we want to test is directly below my fingers, sort of in there. I've taken off the wires which are here. That's the original wiring loom. These wires are really dubious, like it's all cracked and they definitely need repairing. I'll cut them off and put new connectors on. For now what I've done is put on two new wires, two new spade connectors deep in there, and put it across my meter, my multimeter here, just to test the resistance. So just putting two connectors together, I should get pretty much zero, in that ballpark, isn't it? And then put it across the actual thermostat, nothing at all. So I'm going to open the circuit, which leads me to believe that that thermostat is broken. It's just removing the cold start injector now. So the car's not been started for, well, probably a week maybe, something like that. I turned the ignition on yesterday and it sort of pumped up to pressure just quickly while I was checking the light on my dash, but I doubt that's kept any pressure now. So maybe a little bit of fuel here, probably not though. It's like a trickle. No, nothing at all. What I'm going to do then is remove this cold start injector, and I can then get access down a socket onto the temperature sensor. I hope. It's all very tight in there, but that's my current hope. You see the genius in my madness in a minute. This is going to be the safety blanket beneath all. So, some, if not all of everything I drop will be caught by that. And what I'm going to try and do is see if I've got a long enough socket to drop onto that. Right, 3/4 is the same as a 19mm luckily, so we should be able to just slide this on. The big question is, do I have the correct adapters and things to get it above it without This whole thing is in the way now, isn't it? Oh, come on. I don't know. Let's just try this like that. Right, now I can get a socket. It's finger tight. After all that, I don't think it's tight at all. There he is. Right, there is our temp sensor. I think they call it a remote temp sensor. Come on, focus. You can see it. Perfect. Remote temp sensor. I'm going to get it on the bench and give it a test and just see if that's actually producing the resistance it should. Right, it's a pretty straightforward test. You can see open circuit now. If I put these two together, near enough 0. So let's put it against the two connectors of the temp sensor. I'll do it neatly so you can see absolutely nothing. So it's fiddly when you do it on camera. Nothing at all. Oops. Nothing at all. It's completely open circuit. So I think we can conclude that that temp sensor is dead. So I'll get the part number and see if we can find another one. Alright, one of us has been really stupid. Of course, testing across the two pins of that thermo temp sensor thing is going to be 0 because they're not connected. I should be testing the body with pin 1, which I've done, and I get a range of between, I get about 30 ohms all the way up to about 600, that sort of range, which when I look back, if you remember, I don't know how many, I think you saw it first in episode 100 where I did the 100-mile drive. I built my own temperature gauge. We're using a little Arduino computer, and that was the range I had back then as well. So it's not faulty, it must be the wiring, and I'll trace that in a second. For now, I'm just going to wind it back in so I can use the car, because I like using it, and start again. So I've got a new crush washer somewhere. Where did I put that? Not here. Oh yeah, here. New crush washer to go on, and I should be able to get it in there like that. That'll drop down. I do it up with fingers, and then we get that socket back in and tighten it up. One good thing to come out of this is that this temp sensor wasn't particularly well screwed in, which might account for why I look like I've lost a little tiny bit of coolant fluid. That's a little bit. This is the decide to focus. Yeah, this is the warm-up injector, cold start injector. It sort of sits on this side. I can see that pipe's a bit crushed up, isn't it? And that's how it was. I think I'll put the feelers out and see if I can find a new one of those. I'll pop it back on for the moment, but something to watch out for. I think my genius rag didn't work. Let's have a look. No. Let's drop down there a little bit, see if I can grab them out. We're back in business. I got the screw out. Luckily, it hadn't fallen right deep down inside everything. And I can sort of flick it across, we can get it with a magnet. Right, so let's snip off these connectors, get them fresh. Clean that up. I don't know if I've got any new spade connectors around, so I'll go and have a quick look. There. I swear they'd expose themselves anyway. Let's get some new spade connectors. Okay, they should be pretty straightforward. Just pop these connectors on. Try and shield it with these little jackets. Like that. Pliers. And I'm going to solder these on, not crimp. I'm old school and just prefer, well maybe it's new school. I actually prefer soldering things together. Right. Comfortable. soldering iron for some reason turns itself off every now and then, so I have to keep an eye on it. Right. That will be going nowhere. Looking good. There. Right. Now I just need to plug those back on, which is a mission in its own right. And what I need to do quickly is look up which way around those go. Right, the last part of this puzzle then is to just check that I get these two connectors around the right way. So I know from my magical piece of paper that the one that goes off to the gauge is the green and yellow, or blue and yellow I think it's actually called, which is this one here. I need to click it onto the right one. So I'm just going to test the resistances of the two pins that come out. Now that one's open. The other side, which is, can't get it on it now. There. Ah. Okay, so it's the one on the driver's side over this side of the car that I need to put the blue and yellow onto. So let's try and do that now. Right, hopefully deep in there somewhere you can see the two pins connected. I won't lie, there was a lot of swearing, hence I turned the camera off. But they're on now. I had to sort of resolder them, shorten them, do all this sort of mess around. But finally got them in. So now what I'm going to do is just connect everything else back up, which is namely the, I've got this fuel line coming in here, there's a couple of vacuum hoses. Put the brace back on this thing, and then we should be back to normal. Right, let's do a quick fire up and check that I've not left anything off or anything stupid like that. The main area I'm going to be looking sort of around here where the fuel pipe comes into the cold start. Just check that's not leaking. But yeah, let's have a look. Seems dry there. Let's just let it get up to temperature a little bit. It looks pretty good in there, pretty dry. That's pretty good from cold really. It's quite smooth. I don't know how it comes across on the camera, but it's not tappety at all. Super smooth. I blip the throttle, it revs up, comes back down. It doesn't sort of oscillate right down low and then have to sort of struggle to come back up. I think it's running really well at the moment. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I'd say for that little excursion, no damage done. I think in one of the comments this week, or last week actually, I mentioned I would whip out one of the spark plugs so we can see what sort of state the engine's in. So let's quickly pull it out now. Now these haven't been out for quite a long time actually. Trying to remember when I last took it out. I think it's probably when I did the video about it running on 7 cylinders. So, you know, that's quite a long time ago now. So, fresh out the engine. Oh, actually, let's wait for it to focus. Hopefully you can see that. That's looking pretty good, isn't it? No real carbon build-up on it. The top, that is focused, isn't it? Let's come a little closer if it will let me. You can see I'd say that's looking very good indeed. Let me know what you think. I might pull another one if I can be bothered. But yeah, that's what they're looking at. Now I put them in fairly, I'd say loosely, but you can see the force I used to undo it. I don't think I need to put them in particularly tight, like that tight there, really just nipped up. Not trying to impress anyone by doing them up tight, are we? So say I've hand tuned this car and I adjust it every now and then. I think again last video before that perhaps I gave it another little tweak. I'm really happy how that's running. I don't see any issues with it at all, you know, cold or hot now. So I'm really pleased, but again let me know what you think. Right, so I've got the wire just testing for continuity all the way back to the fuse board. I've got a connector in there. The wire runs all the way around, all the way. If I can go inside, you see my little system. Oops, sorry. Right, so studying the electric diagram, I can see that the wire coming off of the temp sensor comes to P4. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. It's that black one there. And P4, 1, 2, 3, 4. There. Actually, I just, you can hear and see my multimeter go mad. Then it goes from P4 into G4. So again, we just count along. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. The blue one, I've dropped my wire. The blue one, 4, is that top one there. Again, we've got continuity. From there, it goes off into the back of the cluster. So I think we can conclude that my problem is at the back of the cluster. Now I need to have the cluster out at some point to replace the circuit board on the back. And I think probably I'm going to save the job till then. I will waggle the wire a little bit and just see if I can get it to work, but I don't really want to take it apart at the moment. Right, now I've got the central console which goes here. I could actually just reach underneath and pull the connector off of the back of the cluster without any real problem. And my diagram, I don't know if you can remember my diagram, says it goes from P4 to G4. We tested it there, and then it runs along, goes in 10L. So I've got the left L connector off, and 10, if we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there is continuity there. So that means it's coming all the way to the back of the cluster. So the problem is in the cluster. I'm not going to pursue that now, and you know, I know I'll be touching that when I renew all the back of it. Right, I think that's enough this week. What a waste of time. That's my weekend gone. Yeah, I got confused and just thought that I should be testing across those 2 pins, and it all went wrong from there, really. But you can see the point I realised, and that was genuine. I worked it out myself, actually. No one pinged me and said, "What on earth are you doing?" I suddenly sat there thinking, wait a minute, Porsche always earthed to the ground onto the body of the car. Of course, only one of the pins does it. And the other thing, I was chatting to someone who was saying about having 2 temperature gauges. Mine only has 1. And then I started thinking, where does the warning light come from then? And then that's where it all sort of the penny dropped. Anyway, at least we got it out and put it back in. That was really cool. And it's tight now, whereas before actually it was a bit loose and probably leaking fluid. And we got a spark plug out. I think that spark plug looks pretty decent. So hopefully you guys will agree that the engine is definitely not too rich. That was my worry, that I'm running it super rich and screwing everything up. and it can't be too lean because it doesn't sort of do all the and all noises and things. So I think it's running pretty good. But leave me some comments, please. That is what I'm after. Anyway, let's wrap up. Thank you for watching as ever. I'll see you next week.